My name is Vanessa Kim, and I'm 38 years old. 20 years ago, my parents threw me out when I was 18 and pregnant. They said I was an embarrassment. That I'd destroyed their perfect family. That I should never contact them again. Today, they're in court trying to get custody of my son. Not because they love him. Because he just sold his company for $50 million, and they want a piece of it. What they don't know is that I've spent the last 6 months building a case with every email, every witness, and every lie they've told. And when the judge hears what really happened 20 years ago, their perfect reputation is going to collapse in front of everyone. Before we start, please like and subscribe, but only if stories about justice really speak to you. I'd love to know where you're watching from and what time it is there. Drop a comment below. I read every single one. Now let me take you back to the night that changed everything. March 2005. I was 18 years old, sitting in my bedroom in our house outside Chicago, holding a positive pregnancy test. I'd taken 4 tests over 3 days. All positive. I was 8 weeks pregnant, and the father, Derek Anderson, had already made his position clear. Handle it, he'd said over the phone. My dad's a lawyer. He'll pay for the procedure. But if you keep it, don't expect anything from me. Then he blocked my number on everything. I had to tell my parents. Joseph and Helen Kim owned a successful import business. They were respected in our Korean American community. Church every Sunday. Charity galas. Chamber of Commerce. Everything about our family looked perfect from the outside. I found them in the living room. My father reading the Wall Street Journal. My mother organizing her calendar for the week. Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you. My father folded his newspaper. What is it? I'm pregnant. The silence felt like it lasted an hour. My mother's face went completely pale. Then she stood up, walked over, and slapped me across the face. You stupid girl. I touched my cheek, shocked. She'd never hit me before. Who's the father? My father asked, his voice cold. Derek Anderson. The Anderson boy? Does he know? Yes. He told me to get an abortion. Then that's what you'll do. My father stood up. Tomorrow. We'll handle it quietly. No one needs to know about this. I don't want an abortion. My mother grabbed my arm. This isn't about what you want. Do you understand what this will do to us? To our family name? To our business? But it's my baby. It's a mistake. My father walked to the window. One we can fix. You'll have the procedure. You'll go to college as planned. This never happened. I can't do that. He turned around. Then you can't stay here. What? If you refuse to handle the situation properly, you're choosing not to be part of this family. We've given you everything. The best schools. The best opportunities. And this is how you repay us? By getting pregnant like some trailer park girl? My mother was crying now. Everyone will know. Everyone will judge us. Our friends, our church, our business partners. They'll think we raised you wrong. You did raise me. You taught me that every life matters. That family comes first. Family does come first, my father said. That's why you'll do what's best for this family. Not what you want. The baby is family. That thing is a problem. Not family. Fix it, or leave. I looked at my mother, hoping she'd say something. Anything. But she just shook her head. I'm keeping the baby. My father walked to the stairs. Then pack your things. You have until tomorrow morning. Dad, please. You made your choice. Now live with it. I barely slept that night. I kept thinking they'd change their minds. That they'd knock on my door and tell me they'd been too harsh. That we'd figure it out together. At 6 a.m., my father knocked. It's time. Time for what? For you to leave. I'm driving you to the bus station. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my concern anymore. I packed everything I could fit in 2 suitcases. Clothes, some books, my grandmother's jewelry box. I had $523 in my bank account from my part-time job at the bookstore. My mother wouldn't even look at me as I came downstairs. She sat at the kitchen table, staring at her coffee. Mom? She didn't respond. My father loaded my suitcases into his car. The drive to the bus station took 15 minutes. He didn't say a single word. When we got there, he helped me get my bags out of the trunk. "Don't contact us," he said. "Don't come to the house. Don't embarrass us further. You're not our daughter anymore." "Dad, I'm scared." "You should have thought about that before you got pregnant." He got back in his car and drove away. I sat in the bus station for 3 hours, trying to figure out what to do. I couldn't go back home. I had no other family in Chicago. My friends' parents wouldn't take me in, not when they heard why I needed help. I bought a bus ticket to Milwaukee. I'd heard the rent was cheaper there. Maybe I could find a job, get an apartment, figure things out. The bus ride took 2 hours. I spent the whole time trying not to cry. When I got to Milwaukee, I found a youth shelter someone had told me about. They let me stay for 2 weeks while I looked for work. I found a job waiting tables at a diner. The owner, Carol Martinez, was in her 50s. Tough but fair. When she saw I was pregnant, she didn't fire me like other places had. "How far along?" "3 months." "You got a place to stay?" "Not really. I'm at a shelter, but I can only stay another week." Carol studied me for a moment. "I have a room above the diner. Used to be storage. It's small, but it's warm. You can stay there if you keep it clean and don't cause trouble." "How much?" "Help me close up at night." "That's your rent." I moved into that room the next day. It was tiny. Just enough space for a bed, a small dresser, and a hot plate. But it was mine. It was safe. Carol became more than just my boss. She made sure I ate properly. She drove me to prenatal appointments. She helped me apply for government assistance. "Why are you helping me?" I asked one night after closing. "Because I was you once. Pregnant at 19, no family support. Someone helped me. Now I help others." My son, Jason, was born in November 2005. 6 pounds, 8 ounces. He had dark hair and the loudest cry I'd ever heard. When they put him in my arms, I made him a promise. "I'll never choose anything over you. Not my reputation, not my comfort, nothing. You're wanted. You're loved. And I'll prove it every single day." Carol was in the delivery room with me. She held my hand through the whole thing. She was the first person besides me to hold Jason. I went back to work when Jason was 3 weeks old. Carol let me keep him in a playpen in the back office during my shifts. Between customers, I'd run back to check on him. I worked 60-hour weeks. Saved every penny I could. When Jason was 2, I enrolled in online classes. Business administration. I'd work, take care of Jason, study after he went to bed. I slept maybe 4 hours a night. Jason was smart. Really smart. He taught himself to read at 4 by watching educational shows. At 6, he was doing math way above his grade level. At 8, he started teaching himself to code. "Mom, look what I made," he'd say, showing me programs he'd written. By the time he was 10, he'd built a simple game app. Just for fun. But it worked. It was good. "Can I sell this?" he asked. "Let's find out." We met with a local developer who looked at Jason's code. "This kid wrote this himself?" "Yes, sir." "How old is he?" 10. The developer laughed. "I have employees with computer science degrees who can't code this clean. This kid's going places." Jason sold that first app for $5,000. He was so excited. "Mom, we can get a real apartment now." We moved out of the room above the diner into a small 2-bedroom apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Jason didn't stop. He built more apps. Better apps. By the time he was 13, he'd made $100,000. At 15, he'd built an app that major companies wanted. He sold it for $3 million. The money changed things. We moved into a nice house. I paid off Carol's diner and set up a retirement fund for her. We invested the rest. At 16, Jason got accepted to Stanford early admission. He graduated at 19 with a degree in computer engineering. Then he started his own company. Software development for businesses. The company grew fast. Within 2 years, he had 50 employees. Major contracts. By the time Jason turned 20, his company was valued at $50 million. Last month, he sold it. $50 million. My son, who I'd raised alone in a room above a diner, was now worth more money than most people see in a lifetime. The Forbes article came out 2 weeks later. Young tech genius sells company for $50 million. They interviewed Jason about his success story. He mentioned growing up with a single mom who worked 3 jobs. How I'd supported his dreams even when we had nothing. 3 days after the article published, I got an email from a lawyer representing Joseph and Helen Kim. Dear Ms. Kim, our clients wish to discuss matters regarding their grandson, Jason Kim, including family reconciliation and inheritance planning. Please contact our office. I stared at that email for an hour. 20 years of silence. 20 years of pretending Jason and I didn't exist. And now they wanted to talk about inheritance planning. I called my lawyer, Robert Chen. I'd hired him years ago when Jason's business started growing. They're coming after the money, Robert said after reading the email. Can they do that? They can try. Grandparents' rights laws are complicated. But given that they abandoned you and never contacted Jason, we have a strong case. What should I do? Don't respond yet. Let me do some research first. I didn't respond. But my parents did something else. They showed up at Jason's office. Jason called me from work, confused. Mom, there are 2 people here claiming to be my grandparents. Your parents. They said they've been trying to reach you but you won't respond. My stomach dropped. Don't meet with them. Tell security to remove them. They seem really upset. They're saying they just want to talk. Jason, please. Trust me. Don't talk to them. Security escorted them out, but they waited in the parking lot. When Jason left that evening, they approached his car. Jason, please, my mother called out. We just want to know our grandson. Jason got in his car and drove away, but he was shaken. Mom, what's going on? Why do they want to meet me now? I told him everything. The pregnancy. The ultimatum. Being kicked out. 20 years of silence. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long time. They really kicked you out while you were pregnant with me? Yes. And they never called? Never checked on us? Not once in 20 years. But now that I have money, they want to be family. That's what it looks like. He stood up and started pacing. They don't get to do that. They don't get to ignore us for 20 years and then show up when it's convenient. I know, baby. We need to stop them. Legally. Whatever it takes. Robert sent a cease and desist letter. My parents ignored it. Instead, they went to the media. Local news picked up the story first. Grandparents fight for right to meet successful grandson. The story showed my parents looking sad and sympathetic. They talked about how they'd made mistakes when I was young. How they'd lost touch with their daughter. How they just wanted a chance to know their grandson. We were too strict, my mother said on camera. We reacted poorly when Rachel got pregnant. But we've grown. We've changed. And we just want the opportunity to be part of Jason's life. No mention of throwing me out. No mention of 20 years of deliberate silence. Just 2 sad grandparents being kept from their grandson by a bitter daughter. The comments online were harsh. She's obviously keeping them away out of spite. How cruel can you be? They're trying to make amends. She's probably worried about losing control of his money. Jason read the comments and got angry. This is garbage. They're lying about everything. I know. We need to tell our side. If we do that, this becomes a circus. That's what they want. Public pressure. So what do? We document everything. We build our case. And we let the truth come out in court. Because I knew it was heading to court. My parents weren't going to stop. 2 weeks later, they filed a lawsuit. Not just for visitation rights. They were suing for partial guardianship of Jason's assets, claiming he was too young to manage that much wealth responsibly. They're trying to control his money, Robert said when he called to tell me. Can they do that? They're arguing that Jason, at 20, needs family guidance for major financial decisions. That you've isolated him from extended family who could help. It's a stretch, but they have expensive lawyers. The lawsuit became public immediately. My parents made sure of it. More news coverage. More interviews. More social media campaigns about grandparents' rights. My diner started getting bad reviews from people who'd never eaten there. 1-star ratings calling me greedy and heartless. Jason's company got emails demanding he reconcile with his grandparents. This wasn't just a lawsuit. It was a campaign to destroy us. Robert brought in a team. We need to fight this on every level. Legal, public relations, and evidence gathering. What kind of evidence? Anything that proves they abandoned you. Witnesses. Documents. Anything. I started going through old boxes. Looking for anything from that time period. And I found something. A letter from my mother to her sister, my Aunt Grace, dated April 2005. Grace, please don't mention Rachel to anyone. She's made her choice. We've cut all ties. If people ask, tell them she's studying abroad. The family reputation can't handle the truth. The letter was in my mother's handwriting. Dated and signed. Proof that they'd deliberately cut me off and told family to lie about it. This is exactly what we need, Robert said. This proves they initiated the estrangement. We found more. An email from my father to their church, asking them to remove my name from the directory. A Christmas card list from 2006 with my name crossed out in red pen. Robert's investigator found even more. He talked to people who'd known my family back then. Neighbors who remembered me being pregnant and then disappearing. Church members who'd asked about me and been told I was overseas. Carol agreed to testify. I remember when Vanessa showed up in Milwaukee. She was 18, pregnant, and terrified. She had 2 suitcases and $500. That's it. She told me her parents had kicked her out for keeping the baby. But my parents were building their case too. They found Derek Anderson. Jason's biological father. The one who'd told me to get an abortion and blocked my number. Derek agreed to testify for them. For money, probably. At the deposition, Derek looked older. Heavier. Tired. Mr. Anderson, Robert asked, what's your relationship with Jason Kim? He's my biological son. Have you ever met him? No. Have you ever provided financial support? No. Have you ever attempted to contact him? No, but I'd like to now. I think it's important for Jason to know both sides of his family. Both sides meaning the side that abandoned him and the side that told his mother to abort him? Derek's lawyer objected, but the point was made. My parents' lawyers brought in a psychologist who testified that children benefit from knowing their extended family. That keeping grandchildren from grandparents causes emotional harm. Dr. Patterson, Robert asked during cross, in your professional opinion, does emotional harm occur when grandparents reject a pregnant teenager and maintain no contact for 20 years? That's a different situation. Is it? You're testifying that cutting off family causes harm. Doesn't that work both ways? I'm not here to judge the grandparents' past. But you're here to judge the mother's current choices? Interesting. The trial was set for 4 months out. 4 months of legal bills, media attacks, and constant stress. My parents kept doing interviews. They showed up at events where Jason was speaking. They sent gifts to his office. They posted constantly on social media about their missing grandson. Then Robert's investigator found something huge. A witness I'd forgotten about. Officer Lisa Wright. She'd been a cop in Chicago 20 years ago. I remember that call, she said when the investigator contacted her. Domestic dispute. A girl, maybe 18, crying outside a house with suitcases. She said her parents had kicked her out for being pregnant. I offered to talk to them. She said they'd made it clear she wasn't welcome anymore. Would you testify to that? Absolutely. Officer Wright's testimony would be crucial. An unbiased witness with no connection to either side. But we needed more. We needed to prove my parents weren't just trying to be grandparents. They wanted money. Jason had an idea. What if I reach out to them? Try to get them to admit what they really want? They'll be careful on the phone. Not if I do it through text. Old people always forget that texts are evidence. He sent a message to my father's number. This is Jason. I'm willing to meet, but I need to understand what you want from this. My father responded within minutes. We want to be your grandparents. To have a relationship with you. What does that mean specifically? Well, we have experience with business and investments. We could help you manage your wealth. Provide guidance. Are you asking to be involved in my finances? A pause. Then my mother took over the phone. Jason, you're very young to handle $50 million alone. Family should help family. We could introduce you to our financial advisors. Help you make smart decisions. So you want control of my money? Not control. Partnership. We're family. We should work together. There it was. In text. Proof that this was about money, not family. Robert smiled when we showed him. This is perfect. They're admitting they want involvement in his finances. They're questioning his capability. They're proving this isn't about a relationship. The trial started in September. The courtroom was packed. Media, community members, people who'd followed the story online. My parents sat on one side with their lawyers. Jason and I sat on the other with Robert and his team. The judge, Margaret Sullivan, was in her 50s. She had a reputation for being fair but no nonsense. My parents' lawyer went first. He painted a picture of loving grandparents who'd made mistakes decades ago but wanted to make amends. Who were being kept from their grandson by a vindictive daughter. Your Honor, the Kims are asking for the most basic human right. The right to know their grandchild. They're not asking for money. They're asking for a relationship. Then Robert stood up. Your Honor, this case is about money. And we can prove it. He submitted the text messages. The ones where my parents admitted they wanted involvement in Jason's finances. Then he called Officer Wright. She testified about finding me outside my parents' house. About how I'd said they'd kicked me out for being pregnant. Did Miss Kim appear to have anywhere else to go? No. She had 2 suitcases and was crying. She looked lost. Then Robert called Carol. She testified about me showing up in Milwaukee. About how I'd worked 70-hour weeks while pregnant. About how I'd never once mentioned my parents trying to contact me. In 20 years, did they ever call? Write? Send a card? Not once. They didn't care about that boy until he was worth millions. My parents' lawyer tried to recover. He called Derek to testify. Derek talked about wanting to be part of Jason's life now. About regretting his choices. Robert destroyed him. Mr. Anderson, you told Ms. Kim to abort this child, correct? I was 18. I panicked. You blocked her number? Yes. You never paid child support? No. You never contacted Jason until his grandparents reached out to you? They thought it would be good for him to know his biological father. Really? Because we have bank records showing a $75,000 payment from Joseph Kim to you 3 days after you agreed to testify. Care to explain that? Derek went pale. He had no answer. Judge Sullivan called a recess. When we returned, she looked furious. Mr. Harrison, she addressed my parents' lawyer, are your clients paying witnesses? Your Honor, that was a family loan. A loan to a man your clients hadn't spoken to in 20 years? Who agreed to testify right after receiving $75,000? That's witness tampering. Your Honor. I'm not finished. I've reviewed the evidence. The texts, the testimony, the bank records. This case has nothing to do with grandparents' rights. This is about two people who abandoned their daughter and grandson, and now want access to money they didn't earn. My mother started crying. My father stared ahead, his jaw tight. I'm dismissing this case with prejudice, Judge Sullivan continued. That means it cannot be refiled. Furthermore, I'm granting a permanent restraining order. Mr. and Mrs. Kim are prohibited from contacting Vanessa Kim, Jason Kim, or anyone in their household. They cannot come within 500 feet of their homes or businesses. Violation will result in immediate arrest. Your Honor, please, my father stood. Sit down, Mr. Kim. I'm also referring this case to the DA for investigation of witness tampering and fraud. You attempted to manipulate this court with paid testimony. That's a crime. The courtroom erupted. Media rushed forward. My parents' lawyer was trying to control the damage. Robert was hugging Jason and me. Judge Sullivan spoke directly to my parents before leaving. Mr. and Mrs. Kim, I've been a judge for 26 years. I've seen many bad parents. But you two are remarkable. You threw out your pregnant daughter. You abandoned your grandson before he was born. And when he became successful, you tried to steal from him. I hope whatever money you thought you'd get was worth destroying any chance of a real relationship. They left through the back exit. But Jason and I walked out the front doors. Reporters swarmed us. Jason, how do you feel about the ruling? He put his arm around me. I feel grateful for my mom, who raised me alone. Grateful for Carol, who gave us a home when no one else would. And grateful for a legal system that saw through the lies. Any message for your grandparents? Yes. Money doesn't make you family. Showing up does. And you never showed up. The story went viral. The real story. The texts leaked. The testimony became public. The witness tampering investigation made headlines. Within 2 weeks, my parents' reputation was destroyed. Their church asked them to leave. My father had to resign from his position on the board of his company. My mother lost all her social club memberships. Their friends stopped calling. The country club they'd belonged to for years quietly asked them not to renew. The witness tampering charges led to convictions. Not jail time, but huge fines and probation. Their lawyer bills exceeded $300,000. They had to sell their house to pay for it all. I heard through the grapevine that they moved to Arizona. Living with my mother's sister in a retirement community. And honestly, I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not anger. Just nothing. They're trying to contact me again, Jason told me a month after the trial. Letters sent to my office. I send them back unopened. Good. Derek kept trying too. Calling, emailing, showing up at Jason's building. Finally, Jason agreed to meet him. Just once. At a coffee shop. Jason told me what happened. Derek showed up trying to look successful in a suit that didn't fit right. Jason, I know I messed up. You did. But I want to make it right. I want to be your father. I don't need a father. I had my mom. That was enough. But I'm your biological father. That has to count for something. It counts for DNA. That's it. You told my mom to abort me. You took money to testify against us. What exactly do you think you deserve? Derek started crying. I'm broke, Jason. I lost everything. Your grandparents promised me money, but after the trial, they cut me off. I need help. And you think I'm going to give you money? You're my son. Jason laughed. No. I'm my mom's son. You're just the guy who got her pregnant 20 years ago. That's all you'll ever be. He walked out and never looked back. 6 months after the trial, Jason did something incredible. He started a foundation. The Jason Kim Foundation for Young Parents. I want to help kids like you were, Mom, he said. Teenagers who get kicked out for getting pregnant. Who have nowhere to go. Who need someone to believe in them. The foundation provides housing, childcare, education, job training. Everything I had to struggle to find. The first facility opened in Milwaukee. A beautiful building with apartments for young parents, daycare, tutoring rooms, and a career center. At the grand opening, Jason gave a speech. 20 years ago, my mom was 18 and pregnant. Her parents kicked her out. She had 2 suitcases and $500. Most people would have given up. She didn't. She found help from a woman named Carol Martinez, who gave her a safe place to stay. She worked 3 jobs. She finished school. She built a life. She raised me to believe that circumstances don't define you. The crowd applauded. Carol was there, crying happy tears. This foundation exists because I know what it's like to be wanted, Jason continued. My mom wanted me when nobody else did. And because of that, I got to live. I got to learn. I got to build something. Every teenager who walks through these doors will get that same chance. We've helped 250 young parents so far. Kids who won't sleep in shelters. Who won't skip meals. Who won't feel unwanted. As for my parents, they tried to contact Jason one more time. A letter sent to his office. He returned it unopened with a note, "Return to sender." No family at this address. They gave up after that. Sometimes Carol asks me if I've forgiven them. Have you let it go? I don't have anger, I tell her. I have boundaries. There's a difference. But doesn't forgiveness matter? Forgiveness doesn't mean letting toxic people back into your life. It means accepting who they are and choosing not to let that define you anymore. I've done that. But it doesn't mean I need a relationship with them. Some doors should stay closed. Jason got engaged last year. To a wonderful woman named Amy who works in education. They met at a foundation event. The wedding is next month. Carol's walking Jason down the aisle. She's 78 now, a bit slower, but still sharp. She's wearing a blue dress and I know she'll cry through the ceremony. At the engagement party, Jason made a toast. I want to thank everyone for being here. Especially my mom, who gave up everything to give me everything. Carol, who gave us a home. And Amy, who chose to love me despite my complicated family history. He raised his glass. To chosen family. To people who show up. To love that's earned, not expected. Everyone drank to that. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever had to build your own family from scratch, leave a comment saying chosen family. We're out here. We found each other. And we're proof that love doesn't require DNA. Subscribe if you believe in real justice. Where truth matters more than reputation. Where love is measured in actions, not words. My name is Vanessa Kim. I'm 38 years old. 20 years ago, I was abandoned while pregnant. Today, I'm a successful business owner, mother to an incredible son, and proof that rejection doesn't determine your future. To Joseph and Helen Kim, wherever you are, thank you for teaching me exactly the kind of parent I never wanted to be. And to Jason, I love you. You made me a mother when I was barely more than a kid. You gave my life purpose. And watching you help others? That's my greatest achievement. Your value isn't determined by who accepts you. It's determined by how you live when people reject you. That's my story. That's my truth.